What are the top 5 new construction neighborhoods in South Denver for 2024? We've got you covered. Hey everyone, it's Allison Wall with Live South Denver, your real estate strategist and realtor for the South Denver area. We covered my top 5 list of existing home neighborhoods in a previous video. You can check that one out right here, and I'll put it at the end. But with the popularity and the opportunity for new construction, it earned its own video. These neighborhoods make the top 5 list because they offer one, substantial inventory. There are a lot of new construction opportunities out there, but some of them are on closeout, dwindling down. We want you to have enough opportunity to buy throughout the year, desirable amenities, and great lifestyle. First up is Sterling Ranch. They win just based on sheer size of the community. There is so much opportunity in there, a great number of builders and selection to choose from. That selection gives you a wide price range, and then location is very popular, with Sterling Ranch being over on the west side of town, putting you close to the foothills. That is a very common preference or choice for people moving into the Denver metro area because it puts you close to that mountain side of town, right? That Colorado feel. Sterling Ranch, if you're not familiar, is situated over in the southwest corner of Littleton by Chatfield Reservoir and State Park, Deer Creek Canyon Open Space, Waterton Canyon, Roxborough State Park, so lots of open space and nature nearby. For the outdoorsy family and couple, this really makes it a very popular place to be. In addition to all of that nature right nearby, like I said, with it being up against the foothills, it does cut down on the time it takes to get into the foothills, into the mountains for great hiking, of course, skiing. So it really is a very popular spot to get into new construction on the west side of town, and generally in a pretty affordable price range. With Dreamfinders, Meritage, Taylor Morrison, TriPoint, and Pulte, you've got really this nice selection, and Dreamfinders has townhomes that are starting in and around the $400,000 price range. A couple of these other builders have some single-family homes that are starting in and around the $500,000 price point, though I will tell you when they're finished, you're getting much closer to the 700s. And then on the high end, that's Pulte. Their base price on their highest end homes is in the millions, so the spectrum runs quite wide in here. Sterling Ranch is about half the size of Highlands Ranch, or it's slated to be when it's fully built out. It has a pool, it has amenities, and there are slated to be more inside Sterling Ranch as it continues to grow, but they're certainly not there yet. One of the complaints around Sterling Ranch from residents as they're filling in is that the amenities aren't keeping up with the pace of growth. So they're wanting to see more, right? Another pool, a few more amenities because of the size, right? Highlands Ranch has 4 rec centers. They're dotted all throughout the community. It makes it easy to pop into different ones. You've got one nearby. The trails are really robust. You get great views. Well, you're certainly not going to do without views over in Sterling Ranch because the foothills kind of pop right up next to you to the west. But it's just that there is the only one set of major amenities right at the front of the community. And so as they've been pushing deeper and deeper back, and there's been this promise of more opportunity, we are hearing that residents are saying, when is mine coming? When is the stuff in the back coming? Where is the park for my side of the neighborhood? Sterling Ranch does have a couple other drawbacks to it. You can check more out in this video that I've already done about Sterling Ranch, but there are power lines that run through the community, and it's known for having some pretty high water prices. And I would say the primary reason most of my folks choose not to go to Sterling Ranch would just be the lack of amenities outside the community, meaning there's not a lot in terms of restaurants, only one small grocery store, and it feels a little remote still. Now, that's a great time to buy into a community, but you don't ever really know exactly how long you're waiting for things to bubble up around you and for it to really feel like everything is very nearby, right? A 3 or 5 minute drive to the grocery store and one that you really like, and really close to a few restaurant options. So for right now, you're driving a good 12 plus minutes away to get to all of your basic amenities, and sometimes just feels too far. So that is probably the biggest challenge to Sterling Ranch. However, by the time all of those things come in and it feels like its own little town out there, I think prices will have really bubbled up. And we're already seeing homes sell for well over $1 million. And when you're buying a new home at a base price over $1 million, I can't even really fathom what it's going to look like once it's really got its own encapsulated feel out there. So if you like it, now is probably your best time to get in. Let's move over to Lone Tree and the Ridgegate build out and the community Lyric that Shay is doing over there. If you're a regular watcher by now, you've probably heard me mention Lyric a few times. It is the newest community by Shea in the Denver metro area. And in Ridgegate or Lone Tree, it's the first new construction for single-family homes that we've had here in a while. So over on the east side of I-25, where Ridgegate is kind of blossoming again because the stuff on the west side has been finished for a while, we have the first of 4 villages that will be constructed. So Lyric is starting. It's really just getting going. Shea has opened up all of their collections. They have the Tribute Collection, the Storyteller Collection, and the Legend Collection. And then they have other builders that are going to be joining them throughout 2024. We're going to have some multi-family options, meaning, townhome style, condo style, and then luxury with Infinity Builders coming in as well. These 4 neighborhoods that are eventually going to be over here will be connected, and then they're all going to be centered around the retail space that's in the median of the road, because Ridgegate really pushes for a walkable lifestyle. For Lyric, this is probably going to be one of the most walkable communities because it is closest to the light rail. Really, you can just move out from the edge of the community through the regional park that's going to be here right over to the light rail station and catch it from there. You don't even have to drive from the neighborhood to the light rail station unless the weather is not the most favorable that day. Design-wise, what I'm seeing from Shea and Lyric is really some of the most unique product I've seen from Shea and really from just about any builder in the Denver metro area. They're offering ADU options inside their homes, and these are different than what we see from these multi-gen homes that have become very popular. So it's not this single-story home with a mother-in-law suite extension off the front. We're seeing that from a good 5 or 6 builders here now because of the need for that kind of living option. Love it. But these are different. They are really designed for something that could be rentable. They are not all on the first floor. Sometimes they're very small and just off the garage. Sometimes they're off of an upper level with stairs leading to them. So there really is something that is more creative about them, more flex to who uses them. They could be something you use within your own family. You could use it for a business. You're renting it out to your own business. They could be used for homeschool. They could be used for boomerang kid. Maybe it's going to be used for renting out literally to someone else, maybe a nursing student, a traveling nurse. There are all sorts of options, but it does not fit as neatly and tightly in a box as that mother-in-law suite or multi-gen family home style that we've already seen become so popular. Now, those ADU units are options. They are not on every floor plan, and they do have some very traditional home styles in here as well. I have a client under contract with them who has a beautiful, very traditional floor plan from the Legends collection, and those price points are already over $1 million. So it does run the gamut, and here you're starting with base prices in and around the mid 600s, and you're going to have finished prices that go beyond $1 million in here, all depending on the variety of how you mix and match your base price, your structural options, and of course your design features. Most of Lyric really still is under development. They have just opened up all the collections. There is no construction quite yet on all of the amenities, but the pros for Lyric are the amenities. There will be a fitness center, an outdoor pool. They even plan on having a local eatery in the neighborhood. If you're familiar at all with the Canyons and they have the Exchange, which we're going to talk about, they're going to be bringing in something somewhat similar to that here. And then, of course, they'll have pocket parks. But in addition to that, Lyric sits adjacent to a newly approved regional park in the area, which is the buffer zone between the community and then the light rail area. So there is going to be a lot more green than you currently see if you go and visit the area. That location next to light rail is a big pro for most people. Ridgegate walkability lifestyle is something that is very attractive and hard to find, particularly in South Denver and really in most of the metro if you are outside that strong urban core of Denver. So Ridgegate is very unique in bringing the suburban with the urban together, being in this really desirable area of Lone Tree, having coffee shops, retail, light rail, new construction all put together. Really is a strong attractiveness and desirability to it. Now, where the location is a con, if you are purchasing a home and hoping for views, that's where things get a little more iffy. Now, there are some views. The view corridor to the north right now shows a little bit of the Denver Tech Center, so you get some city lights. You definitely see some terrain between the community and the tech center, so there's a nice touch there. But when you look to the west, predominantly what you're seeing is concrete. You're seeing I-25, you're seeing light rail, you're seeing parking garage, you're seeing apartment building. There's not a whole lot there that is really attractive. And there might be some lots as you get higher up. There's a several 100-foot elevation change across the community, but not much right now is showing beyond this concrete jungle. Now, to the south of the community, you do have bluffs there. So if you have the right trajectory or view out your door, you may see some of the nature. There are power lines, big power lines on the top of those bluffs. They move into Castle Pines and Highlands Ranch and deliver power. So you have to be okay with seeing those. Those power lines are seen in many other neighborhoods. It's not just this one. But if you don't like power lines, that might bother you. Another con is noise. Now, we have yet to really get a good feel for how much noise is going to be coming off of I-25 and the main road out to the front of the community, because generally when you're visiting the site, you're hearing a lot of the construction and the vehicles that are there moving dirt, building homes. But you are still under the flight path and flight pattern for Sentinel Airport here, and that can be a bother if you are looking for something a little more quiet. Now, in a more urban setting, if you like that walkability and you like the urban feel, typically not a concern for you. With this being such a popular area, there is something else that comes up for the pros and cons discussion. There is a strong investor mindset for the community. So I've had many people reach out and want to talk about how they can get in as an investor. Well, Shea generally has a no investor policy. They really want homeowners in the community, and that's great for most people. That's generally what you want, right? But I know that there are many people trying to find their way around that rule, whether they're buying cash and so they can fib on the paperwork and say that it's going to be their primary residence, but it's not. Or they only live in it for a year and then move out and make it a rental, or find other avenues to try to just maneuver around the fact that they don't really plan on making this their home and renting out the property. So if you are coming in with the mindset of this being your home turf and building a lifestyle and wanting neighbors and wanting to be connected into a really rich and deep community, know that there is a very strong investment mindset here. And so you may see a lot more transients and renters in this community than you might find in some other spots. The plus side, regardless, is the wide-ranging mindset that this area has strong ROI. All right, let's stick with the theme of Shea and move south to the Canyons and Shea's preeminent community in the area. Shea is a good developer of communities. If you happen to be in a part of the country where Shea already builds homes and communities, I generally get this same feedback of, yes, we love those neighborhoods. Yes, we like Shea homes. Oh, those neighborhoods are so desirable. If Shea is fairly new to you, drive around any of their neighborhoods and areas, even existing ones, and I can point those out to you. People tend to really like the design, the landscape, the number of parks, the types of homes, the partnering builders. They're just very good at drawing people out of their homes into communal space, as well as setting up the community for success in terms of activities and ongoing connection. When you see a Shea community, you see these markers of success based on the amount of open space they have, the parks, the trails, a piece of anchoring architecture, something that's eye-catching, their amenities, and then, as I mentioned, the partners that they build with. So in the Canyons, this is what this looks like. About 1/3 of all the land is dedicated to open space. They have nearly 15 miles of trails, and not all of that is just sidewalk. They have some dirt or gravel trail as well. When you enter the community from the main entrance, you have a beautiful covered bridge. So that is welcoming not only you home, but your guests, and makes for a really lovely centerpiece to the community. And the Canyons has the Exchange. This is your local coffee shop and restaurant. Essentially, it's your third space inside your community. You don't have to jaunt off to a busy Starbucks. It's right here inside, and you start to get to know your own staff. You see your neighbors. It's a really lovely place to gather, and not to mention beautiful. Now, when the Canyons first opened, there was a myriad of builders offering homes across different price points and designs. Nearly all of those builders have sold out now. There was Toll Brothers, Tri Pointe, KB, Berkeley, Infinity. Now, Tri Pointe has opened up a smaller and different collection that is still available for sale, But everybody else, aside from Shea and a few specs left from Infinity, are sold out. So really, Shea is your core provider of homes inside canyons until the next phase opens up. This map right here actually shows you where the next phase is headed, and it's going to be going south and then down toward the east. And they have more than 1,000 homes that are slated for production in that segment of the Canyons Part 3. There will be more builders in there. I've already talked with Infinity and asked them, hey, when do you expect to have more product available? I've got clients interested in working with you. And they said, you kind of got to take or leave what we have now. We don't expect to have new homes in the next phase for probably 3 years. So that area of development, that doesn't mean everybody won't have homes for 3 years, but Infinity and some of these other builders that are secondary to Shea just don't really know when anything is going to be available for them for quite some time. So if you love the Canyons and you want to get in there now, what you have available are townhomes from Tri Pointe, really cool product, very large, might I add, and Tri Pointe's quite a nice builder. And then you have all 4 collections from Shea. You've got the Gallery Collection, the Retreat, the Reserve, and the Luxe Collection. Reserve and Retreat are your ranch homes. Gallery is a little bit more of your entry-level home, if you will. They are not small and not modest in size, but Shea does not finish the basements. And then you have your Luxe Collection. For those, at a minimum, you're probably at a $1.3 million price point to be finished out. You can have a finished basement with those. Now, I tell everyone that. Of all the new home communities on my list, the Canyons is my favorite. I like it for its location, the desirability, the amenities. I feel like there's very strong build quality in here, good ROI for resale, and overall, I just feel like the lifestyle is very hard to beat in other communities. Now, the thing is, I guarantee you there are folks who I share this information with who drive through the Canyons, maybe visit a few models, and absolutely 100% do not agree with me. So what are the cons to the Canyons? There are certainly some. First, you're sharing your community with other people, with outsiders. The Exchange, for instance, it's not a private restaurant or coffee shop. You don't have to show your HOA card, your little badge to get in. Anyone from the outside can come and use the Exchange as their own coffee house or third space as well. This may be a pro or a con, but speaking of sharing, Lifetime Fitness is coming to Castle Pines, and they're going to be placing the Lifetime Fitness inside the boundaries of the Canyons. So that means, to me, one, I don't think you need a Lifetime Fitness as a Canyons resident. You have so many amenities inside the Canyons. I know there will be people who join Lifetime just because it's such a nice club. But I also think that people who go to Lifetime, one, it's going to increase traffic into that entrance to the community. And I also think they're probably going to come to the Exchange afterwards on occasion to hang out, grab a coffee, rest, maybe do some work. So it's going to increase more of that sharing feel inside the community. Another con is that right now purchase options are lower than I've seen them for a long time. In large part, it's because other builders have already closed out, sold out their product. There was such a rush to get in on the front end because of how desirable this community is. So your selections are more limited right now. You only have Tri Pointe and Shea. And of course, those last few homes from Infinity, which is that they really do make a beautiful product. And then from there, we're waiting until the next phase opens on that map that I showed you. This isn't the only community where I'm seeing this, as builders have started to pull back and slow down on production. But if you have your mind set on a specific type of lot, a specific kind of view, you want to have a certain orientation toward open space and not a road, your choices are becoming more limited in here. Also, the Canyons is a specific type of terrain. So I mentioned it. I think it's really beautiful in here. There are a lot of valleys and a lot of interesting things to look at, but not a lot of trees. So for people coming from areas where there is a lot of tree cover, where things don't feel wide open, where you're not looking at every other rooftop, it can be shocking, maybe a little garish. Every single tree in this area is being planted by a homeowner or a builder. This terrain, this whole area, and everything moving eastward that other builders are putting in is all kind of a scrub brush, a scrub oak. It's low ground cover. And what we have is very pretty, but it can be just really hard to take in and grasp as something that you want to live in. So a lot of times people come and they think, oh, I want Colorado and pine trees. Well, where we are is not dense pine tree coverage in every area, so there are certain pockets you need to lean toward if that's what you desire. And new construction in general is not it typically because the builders take everything down to the ground anyway. And in the canyons, they didn't. They left a lot of it, which adds to the beauty. But I do get feedback that people don't like the look, the feel, the terrain. The lots are small. I wouldn't say they're smaller than any other builder we're going to talk about. But I think when we're looking at a more luxury style community, there's a sense that maybe you would get a bigger lot. And that's not the case. The density rules still apply. The municipalities are still asking that the homes be quite close together and that we're preserving water usage on the land, that we're preserving how many people are being put into the space, and that we're using open space for open space and pushing people toward parks and common area. So the lots are not particularly large. And even in here, there are some homes, some areas of the neighborhood that do fall a little bit under the flight path to Centennial Airport. Now, the planes are much higher up, and the area is quite quiet, which means that on a Saturday morning when there's a flight coming in to land and you're sitting outside and you hear all this peace and quiet and it's so nice, that plane tends to break that quiet and it's a little bit bothersome. But I don't find it to be true over the whole neighborhood. So this is one of those situations where you have to kind of stand and observe and learn and see if this is an area that is an issue, if it's bothersome. It's a lot of discovery for this area. But if you're paying quite a bit of money and you want peace and quiet, you definitely want to know ahead of time. Resale options are starting to crop up in here, and I would suggest looking at them very seriously if you love the canyons. Here's why. Many of the homes are very nice. Some of them are going to have fantastic views, and those views may be better than anything yet to come because we don't know exactly what the terrain's going to look like. We suspect that we've reached the highest point of the land and we're going to be sloping downward, though we're really not sure yet. So if you find something you like, really may be worth considering. Also, home prices are probably going to only be going up as the developer spends their time developing new land, and as we see, obviously, home prices increase over time in most markets. Now, with any home that has an open view corridor, this is true anywhere. If you see land that's undeveloped across from it, do your due diligence to know whether something's going to be built in that spot. All right, we're moving a bit to the east and the south over to Makanta in Parker. Makanta is finally back online after being sold out for a period of time. So we now have Lennar back up and running, Toll Brothers back up and running, and Taylor Morrison, who was the first to get things back going. David Weekley is fully sold out. They've kind of closed everything down, so they are offline. The Makanta Clubhouse is still under construction. They hope to have things going by summer 2024. So clubhouse, pool, all the amenities for some good family fun over the summer. Makanta is really known for one big pro, and that is that nearly every home backs to open space. In phase 1, that was mostly true. In phase 2, it's nearly 100% true. So one of the most popular requests I get is that a home that does not back to neighbors, a home backing to a greenbelt, a home backing to open space. The other one is, I would love a view, right? So if I could pick the two most popular requests I have, those would be it, and Makanta delivers. There are views of Pikes Peak from inside Makanta. Now, not every home is oriented in that direction, but they're available. And then literally almost every single lot is along a green space or open space. Now, of course, with every builder in the community, that means their home prices are higher relative to other locations where they sell similar floor plans or homes. But if you're willing to pay the premium, you can have the privacy that your little heart desires. The base price for Taylor Morrison's smallest home in their smallest collection starts at around $650. The base price on their largest home currently is running around $875. Now, I've had clients price out homes and build homes on paper with Taylor Morrison in their most recent collection. They ended up not going that route, but they were looking at a home that was below $875 for a base price, and they ended up with a finished price that was pushing 1.1 plus. So the add-ons, the lot premium, the finishes, the structurals add up very quickly. Lennar is listing their home prices in the low 8s to the mid 9s, but when you look at the actual homes for sale, it's more like the high 8s to the high 9s. And then I have clients who are on the wait list for one of the super gens, and they're just right around $1 million for that one. In this neighborhood, Toll Brothers base prices are running $950,000 to $1,750,000. This is Toll's most expensive community. I've shared that before. I think I misspoke in a previous video and said it was Montaigne, but it's Makanta, both for base price and for lot premiums. The lots here for Toll are also the largest of any of the neighboring communities in the metro area. So in addition to having those possible mountain views, having all that open space or green belt behind the homes, the top two reasons to put Makanta on the list, the location's not too shabby either. It's only about 6 minutes to get into all the retail, the Target, the restaurants, the simple shopping in Castle Rock, and 10 to 12 minutes from Parker as well. There are certainly easier locations to live in if you're a commuter. If you commute into the tech center, commute into downtown, and you do it daily, this is not the most ideal spot, but there are worse ones too. So what are the cons for Makanta? Well, there are power lines that run around the community. There are power lines on the south end. They do tend to have a little bit of obstruction to that Pikes Peak view. And there are power lines to the east side of the community. The east side are the smaller ones on the wooden pole, a little bit less obstructive and less bothersome. Also, the community has that large road that is the access point in and out. It's widening, it brings in some road noise. It's also the only ingress and egress point to the neighborhood. If you're deep enough in the neighborhood, so Toll Brothers lots are pretty far back, you won't hear much of the road noise. In phase one, many of those homes toward the front, particularly the Taylor Morrison homes in phase one, were very close to the road, so a lot of road noise. Crowfoot Valley Road is the road, it's widening, but it's also going to be getting much more traffic in the future. So we looked at the Canyons map where they're moving into phase 3. All of that is going to connect all the way down to this section and have access to Crowfoot Valley Road. There is a lot of construction occurring in this area, connection points, traffic, people moving through. So as we see this road becoming a main corridor and we see traffic all hours of the day and night, we do anticipate we'll see some overflow of that road noise. So home positioning is going to be important. But knowing that it's your only ingress and egress out of the neighborhood, right now at least, until we see something different occur, if the road is blocked off on one end or the other and you need to be somewhere in a timely fashion, you are stuck turning around and going the other way or waiting it out. All right, we are rounding out our top 5 with a double whammy. We are talking about Toll Brothers down on the south end of Castle Rock with Montaigne and Crystal Valley Ranch. Now, we are talking about two communities, but Montaigne sits right at the front of Crystal Valley Ranch, so it can feel like one, but they are separate entities. Montaigne has a 55+ side, we call that Regency, and they have an all-ages side, which has 3 different collections by Toll Brothers. But if you were to pass right by Montaigne and go into Crystal Valley Ranch, where they have dozens of neighborhoods, they've had handfuls of builders, there is an enclave of homes being built by Toll Brothers that are just opening up. They have fewer than 100 lots. These are large lots over 10,000 square feet. And it's a whole new section with mostly new floor plans. So together, this is some great opportunity from Toll Brothers on the south end of the metro area. I think the perks of having a 55+ community, amenities just for this neighborhood, homes that are really designed all single level living, a variety of sizes, floor plans oriented toward main floor living, options for customizations. It's really a great opportunity. There are not a lot of 55+ communities in Denver, and we are starting to see more of them on the south end of town, which is also nice for selection. With Regency having 3 collections, there is an affordable option inside the 55+ community if you can handle a smaller footprint. But my experience is that when we're seeing folks transition to all main floor living, not really wanting to touch the basement, or the basement is optional for a period of time, because the idea is aging in place. The idea is I'm going to stay here for the long haul. Or that phrase of, you're carrying me out in a pine box, or I'm not leaving here until one of us is so sick that we have to go to some sort of health support community, right? Then the basement really is typically fully optional. What that means is that all of a sudden the main floor needs to be bigger. To feel comfortable all of a sudden, more elbow room becomes important. So when you're asking the builder to give you more space, then you're going up a bigger size, and then the home becomes more expensive. That tends to be the way I see things go. But there are options for affordable and smaller homes inside the 55+ community. Now, Regency has released their last phase of lots in the 55 plus side. So if you're connecting with them or you're looking online before you connect with me to ask some questions, what you see in this last phase is everything they have available currently. They don't really hold anything back. If you see a lot over on this side versus this side, if it's available, you could choose to build on it. But if you aren't liking what you see, there's not much left. Okay, now the other side, the all ages side, they have 3 collections as well, different price points. Far and away, the most popular is the Estate Collection. Now, in general, for this all ages side, they have built from the lower part of the community to the higher part of the community. So we are getting to where we have really nice views because we're getting higher up. So if you've been waiting, you haven't had any interest in buying yet, but you want a nice view, there are some opportunities to get in, poke around at the lots and see if there's something that fits what you're looking for. Pricing right now in the Regency collection is running around $600,000 to $900,000. Pricing right now on the all ages side is running about $640,000 to about $1,050,000. Now, when we move over to the Crystal Valley Ranch collection that's just up the road a little bit, there's no pricing available yet. We're in the launch phase on this one. We've got these larger lot sizes that doesn't appeal to everyone. Sometimes this 55 plus crowd, right? You're wanting to downsize the lot, but then you get over and see the lots and they feel really small, particularly if you're not on open space and you're backing up to a neighbor. So maybe if we can find a way to xeriscape or not have to deal with grass in these larger lots, it might be appealing because these roughly 100 lots don't back up to neighbors. So you're getting some open space or green belt, a little bit more privacy, and they have 2 options with main floor primary. One's a traditional ranch, one is a 2-story but with a main floor primary, and then they have 3 options that are traditional 2-story homes. Now, being over on the Crystal Valley Ranch side does not get you any access into the amenities at Montane, either the 55 plus side or the all ages side, but Crystal Valley Ranch does have its own large set of trails and community center. The cons to being down in this Crystal Valley Ranch area, right? Montane, Crystal Valley Ranch, 1, cell service. So if you're trying to take your cell phone out on a walk and stay connected or be able to have access to people or chat, cell service is really horrible in here. I can't even talk to people on a drive in and out of the community. It's awful. Now you'll get Wi-Fi, you can be wired in to have internet. All that is not a problem being at home. Just in the community, it stinks. Now, also, distance to things. It's on the very south end of town, but infrastructure is coming. Right across from Crystal Valley Ranch, the dirt's already moving for this next very large community coming in that's also going to bring with it a whole set of commercial work, meaning we've got the Costco coming in, other retail. So it's going to have a different feel in a very short amount of time. You're not terribly far from a Safeway grocery store or some other places to grab food, and you're actually pretty close to downtown Castle Rock, which gives you the farmers market, some events. The library's not far, so you do have some other things nearby. But if you're looking for really nice, light, bright, fresh retail, you're going to have to wait a little bit for that. For a lot of folks, the opportunity for good views and the value you get, the amount of home for the money outweigh these few cons. But there are places dotted all over South Denver. We've just gone through what I consider the best of the best. So there's plenty of choices. And honestly, we have really just scratched the surface of what is available. I have popped up videos you could watch throughout this video for more information. If you want to check out builder ratings, check out this video. And if you want to chat more about building a home here in Denver, please reach out. You know, I'm always happy to connect. I'll see y'all next week.